All right, thank you. This project is being the field demonstration of the methodology and technique that we have developed for repairing a damaged bridge element. Is the principal investigator is Dr. Kingsley, and the concept was developed by a couple of our graduate students. So I'm going to discuss, give you a little bit background on technology that we have developed, and then at the end I will discuss the field demonstration part of it. So ultra performance concrete, we just heard, has lots of advantages. It's a material that has a very high compressive strength, but it has a high tensile strength. We are looking at the 1.2, 1.34 KSI tensile strength. But also after the cracking, it has a post-cracking strength, and ductility, which really is very appealing. And so it's a very, very good material, as the previous presentation elaborated for the repair. This is just one summary that I guess summarizing it in one slide, the previous presentation. The graph that you see on the left is related to normal strength concrete. The one on the right is related to ultra performance concrete. The higher on the vertical axis, the higher the corrosion activity. The lower it is, the better it is. The horizontal axis is the number of the days. So you can look at this plot saying that, okay, after 450 days, how much, let's say, corrosion activities that I have. You will see that for normal strength concrete from the left graph, you've got significantly more compared to the ultra performance concrete that is shown on the right hand side. So that's the only thing that you should be getting from this plot. So why do we need to come up with the accelerated ways of trying to repair damaged bridge element? Very simple. We've got so many in our inventory. We have so many bridges. There's so much money that we have, and we are reaching some of the design life of most of the bridges that we have in our inventory. Now, design life and service life are two different animals. Nevertheless, there are some relationship. And by 2030, we're going to have 400,000 of our 600,000 bridges reaching their 50-year design life. So we have developed several methods for retrofitting the damaged bridge elements using a ultra performance concrete. I will just go through it very quickly. We had a webinar, in fact, a research webinar devoted to these topics. The recording of that is on our website if you like to get more information. But for the columns, I can tell you this much. We don't have to remove all the contaminated concrete, maybe about a finger behind the reinforcement. This UHPC is a wonderful material. You can splice. The development length is very short in the UHPC. So you can replace the damaged rebars, splice it with the new ones, and then fill it with the UHPC. We have tested a number of tested specimens. We have simulated different type of damages, symmetrical, unsymmetrical. You see the photos on the right. Some of the specimens that intentionally we have, we don't have anything in the bottom simulating the damage. That's going to be filled with the UHPC. And this is a formwork that our basically graduate students have developed, trying to fill the area. Okay, and don't worry about too much information in this slide, but take a look at the plot on the right hand side compared to the middle. The right hand side is a damaged specimen. Okay, and the middle one is repaired with the UHPC. You see the gain in the strength and the ductility. So compare the size of the two, both with respect to the displacement ductility that is achieved and also the strength. So UHPC not only increases the strength also assists you in a number of other ways. With normal strength concrete, you really don't get any additional gain on the strength. With UHPC, that's why we like to refer to, it's not the repair really, it's an upgrade of because the end product, when you use the UHPC to repair something, the end product is better than the original structures. So in that sense, we just have to be careful because, for example, in this graph, the right two pictures are related to the two-column specimen that was repaired with UHPC. No damage in the UHPC area, and the damage is shifted to the upper part. In the left-hand side, the damage is shifted to the foundation. So you've got to be careful. You have to take that into account. Okay. We did look at the some parameters like fiber content. We really didn't see much difference. Okay. We've also looked at the. We have also looked at the repairing the elements of the bridge that are subjected predominantly to the flexure or the moment. And what we have found out basically, if you remove the concrete, if you don't want to go too much in deep in the remove too much concrete, and the thickness of the UHPC is going to be small, you need to use some kind of mechanical devices to give a good composite action between the UHPC and the existing concrete. Or if you go deep enough where you expose some of the reinforcement, that probably you will be fine. You have to have exposed, if you have, for example, flexural beams or even columns, you need to have a good exposed aggregate. In this case, I mean, you're pretty much limited to sandblasting or hydroblasting because you cannot use the third option, which is putting chemical compounds on the formworks, because these are existing structures. So here is some photos of the specimens that have exposed aggregate with the sandblasting. And you can see that the control specimen is just not repaired, and then the repaired specimen have a significant increase in the capacity. We are also looking at this UHPC to wrap basically the entire structure with the very thin layer of UHPC. Okay, so this is one specimen that is ready to be casted, and we have a formwork that you'll be able to see the flow of the UHPC. And for example, for this T-beam that you see, if I just place a UHPC that's let's say in the bottom, it's about 1 inch on the underneath side, 2 inch on the side, about 1.5 inch, and then we're going to add some reinforcement. I can increase the moment capacity of that T-beam from 1,580 inch kips to 4,680 inch kips. So by factor of 3. So that's what. Now on top of that, when you wrap these things, like the previous presentation said, nothing penetrates through this UHPC. So the way I look at it is really the existing damaged structure is nothing but just a formwork to allow basically things form it up, and then let the basically UHPC to increase the service life of the structure, but also increase the capacity quite significantly. Here is a very short video. I know that you guys out there, you probably the video looks jerky a little bit, but I think that you can see the message. This is a very, very narrow gap. You see that how the UHPC, because there is no aggregate in there, how it flows. So it's very nicely can flow, can feel the small gaps. Okay. Now this kind of stuff, I wanted to show you that this is not new. It's been used in the Europe quite significantly for repair of these structures. And the video doesn't work. That's okay. The video is not working on this computer. But it's been also used in a very harsh environment. For example, the photo on the left-hand side is where there's a UHPC liner that is placed in there, and it's a very acidic compound. So now we have a project, the field demonstration. We have it in cooperation with the Miami-Dade County here in Miami, Florida. We have selected a bridge which has one column that needs to be repaired. So we're going to repair it with UHPC. We have made an agreement with a company to basically to instrument it, and we are going to monitor it. And we are also very interested to work with any state DOTs to have a field demonstration. If you are interested to use this technology to repair any existing bridge, please send me an email to AAZIZI. And I'm sorry, that should be an A. There should be A. I apologize. So AAZIZINA@fiu.edu. My cell phone is there if you would like, and you can give me a call, 402-770-6210. So we are very interested to work on a field demonstration project if you have a bridge in mind. One thing that I wanted to share with you is ABCUTC is in the process of developing a non-proprietary UHPC mix. The cost of the material for this non-proprietary mix is about $400 to $600 per cubic yard, which is very good news. I think with the cost of the production, we're probably going to be looking at the UHPC mix that is going to be in order of $1,000 per cubic yard. Dr. Royce Floyd from the University of Oklahoma is leading that effort. All 5 partner universities are involved with this. I also would like to announce that we will have a workshop during the 2019 International ABC Conference that will be held in December of 2019 in Miami, Florida. For the first time, during that workshop, we are going to be revealing this non-proprietary ABCUTC UHPC mix. So, nothing else. You may want to attend that conference to get the full day exposure to this non-proprietary UHPC mix. We're going to have a hands-on experiences, so this will allow you to get very familiar with this non-proprietary and take the mix and put it to work. So with that, I'd like to conclude my presentation. And if there is any time left, I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Aziz-Namini. One quick question, if you please can answer in like 20 seconds. Do you anticipate any chemical treatment of the base, like normal concrete, before applying the UHPC?
No, we don't anticipate, but we're going to be looking at some of the advices that our corrosion experts will give us. But so far, no, we don't expect to do anything fancy. Just remove. We don't have to remove all the contaminated concrete, but maybe about an inch beyond the reinforcement, and then expose the aggregate. Make sure that that surface is wet. That's the most important thing. The surface is wet, and then fill the cavity with the UHPC.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aziz-Namini. We'll end this presentation.